You ever just forget why you started? Not because it didn't matter, not because it wasn't real, but because somewhere along the way the fire just faded. You remember when it was all so clear? When the dream was fresh in your chest and the reason you were chasing it felt like it pulsed through your veins. You had the hunger, the vision, the excitement. You'd close your eyes and you could see it. The lifestyle, the achievement, the version of you were trying to become. But now, you wake up and it's heavy. You sit down to work and there's no spark. You go through the motions, hoping to feel something, but it's like there's a wall between you and the goal you once lived for. And you start asking yourself the question that nobody wants to ask. What happened to me? Where did the motivation go? Where's the fire that used to get me up at 5 a.m.? Where's that voice in my head that used to scream, "Keep going," even when it hurt? You try to remember. You try to recreate it. You scroll through old notes, old videos, old reminders, trying to reconnect with the why. But now it just feels distant, like something someone else wrote. And in that silence, doubt creeps in. Maybe I was never built for this. Maybe I was just naive. Maybe this isn't my purpose after all. And before you know it, you're slipping. Not all at once, little by little. You stop giving 100%. You stop chasing discomfort. You stop believing. You say you're tired, but it's not your body that's tired. It's your spirit. You're not just physically drained. You're emotionally disconnected from your mission. And that disconnection, that's dangerous. Because when you forget why you're doing it, the how starts to feel unbearable. And it's easy to think motivation is just supposed to be there, like some magical fuel that never runs out. But that's not how this works. The truth is, motivation dies every single time. And the only thing that brings it back is meaning. You don't need more rest. You don't need another inspiration video. You need to remember who you were before the world got loud, before the doubts, before the burnout, before the pressure turned your passion into a prison. Who were you when you first dreamed of this? Maybe you were the kid who felt invisible, and this goal was your way to finally be seen. Maybe you were the one who felt weak, and this was your shot at becoming strong, not just physically, but mentally. Maybe you were tired of watching everyone else live free while you felt trapped, and this goal was the key to your cage. You didn't start because it was easy. You started because you had to, because something inside you refused to settle. But now, you've been grinding so long that you forgot the point. You've been measuring progress in likes, results, and approval instead of remembering that the real progress was always in who you were becoming. You forgot that this was never just about the trophy. It was about healing. It was about proving to yourself that you could commit, that you could change, that you weren't going to stay stuck like everyone said you would. So if you feel unmotivated right now, it doesn't mean you're weak. It means you've been carrying too much without stopping to feel why it matters anymore. You've been trying to sprint through a marathon without remembering what made you lace up your shoes in the first place. So take a breath, not to quit, not to retreat, but to realign. Ask yourself, what was the pain that made me choose this path? Who am I doing this for? What version of me is counting on me not to give up? You might cry. You might feel ashamed that you lost touch. But don't run from that. Feel it. Let it sink in. Because that pain, that reason, that's your anchor. That's what will carry you through the days when motivation is nowhere to be found. That's what will remind you why you can't just drift, can't just settle, can't just do enough to get by. You started this for a reason. Maybe it was because you were tired of being average. Maybe it was because you were trying to break a cycle your whole family lived in. Maybe it was because you were sick of watching your potential rot in excuses. Whatever it was, it still matters. You didn't come this far to let the fire die. And no, you're not back to square one. Even if you feel lost, you've grown. You've changed. You've built. You're not who you were when you began. You just need to remind your heart why your hands are still building. Reconnect. Recommit. Not to the image, not to the outcome, but to the meaning. Because the ones who win, they're not the ones who never fall off. They're the ones who come back. The ones who get quiet, go inward, face their darkness, and still say, "This matters to me." And if it matters to you, if it still burns, even a little, then it's not over. It never was. Now get up, pick it back up. Not for the world, not for applause, for the you that started this,